Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and today we are looking at April Wine's 1976 album, The Whole World's Going Crazy. This panel discussion and review includes Tim Derling from Tim's Vinyl Confessions, John Clauser from My Music Corner, Nick Esquire from the Contrarians, and Dave Lubin. So get ready after this. Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight I want to welcome Nick Esquire, Tim Derling, John Clauser, and Dave Lubin to the panel. And tonight we're going to talk about April Wine's The World's Going Crazy. This is the fifth studio album that was released in September 1976. The first album was Steve Lang. Jim Clinch is out of the picture. The record reached number one in Canada, and it remained number one for 2 weeks. The record was the first in Canadian history to have a platinum advance sale order. All Music gave this a 2-star review, which I thought was kind of low, but it is what it is. So as always, we always start out with Tim Derling. I'm going to throw it over to Tim, and he's going to get us started, and then we'll just go around. We'll just go Tim, John, Dave, and we'll go up to Nick. Nick's in the car now, so I bet he's making a transfer. There he goes. So anyway, let's start out with Tim. Tim, how are you? Nice to see you.
I'm doing good, Grant. Nice to see everybody tonight. And again, enjoying these April wine discussions and enjoying the chance to dig into these albums again, because some of these albums I haven't listened to in a long, long time. And The Whole World's Going Crazy is an interesting album because it's one of those cases where depending on the country of origin, you get a slightly different track listing. So I thought I'd make the distinction. This is a Canadian vinyl on Aquarius Records. Kind of a cool cover with the Mad Hatter. It's actually embossed. And I believe when they toured this album, they had a giant Mad Hatter on stage, like a paper mache type thing. And back cover. And a nice hard cardboard, not a paper insert, but a nice hard cardboard insert. It's got Steve Lang, the new guy, Jerry Mercer, Miles Goodwin, and Gary Moffat, and a little bit of customization on the copy I have. It's the typical Aquarius label, but you see the top hat on there with some hands coming out of it. So this, the track listing on the Canadian version is side 1, Gimme Love, So Bad, Wings of Love, We Can Be More Than We Are. Side 2, Rock and Roll Woman, Shot Down, Like a Lover, Like a Song, Kick Willie Road, and the title song, The Whole World's Going Crazy. On the American version, which has a copyright date of 76 on it as well, on London, I have the cassette here. And track listing on this is side 1, Gimme Love, Child's Garden, Rock and Roll Woman, Wings of Love, and Marjorie. Side 2, So Bad, Shot Down, Like a Lover, Like a Song, Kick Willie Road, The Whole World's Going Crazy. That's also the version used on this Australian cassette that I have, also on London Records. So I guess what I'm saying is this track listing was obviously the international version. John, have you got the London version there?
Yes. Yeah,
so
this is a London version, and the track listing you just listed, that was what's on this one.
So if anybody's wondering, so these songs, what they did is they left off We Can Be More Than We Are, and they put on Child's Garden and Marjorie. Where did they get those songs from? They got those songs from an album that never came out in the States, which I'm pretty sure we'll be talking about very, very soon. But as to the album itself, the bulk of the album is the same. 8 songs are the same, no matter what version you get. First of all, I hate the way they spelled gimme. They spell it Gimmie. I've never seen it spelled that way on any other song. Should be no IE. Anyway, that song was co-written by Miles Goodwin and our good friend Tyler Hagopian.
That's what I was thinking too.
It's not a
help write that.
It's not a surname that you see very often. Let me see if the label itself has first name. It does not. Does your copy, John, have Mr. Hagopian's first name?
It does not. And actually my version of Gimme Love does not have the I. It is just
Well, you
Gimme
spelled it correctly then, or yours spelled it
Gimme.
correctly.
So,
Um, and he's not credited on any like background vocals or anything. People might be interested to know that the lead guitar on the song "So Bad," which is a rocker, is by Frank Marino. So I guess he would have been a fellow Montrealer. I don't know what they call April Wine weren't originally from Montreal, but that was their adopted home. Gimme Love's a rockin' song, kicks the album off. This album did sell quite well. And as Grant said, the pre-orders for it were pretty brisk, but they're coming off Stand Back. It was a good record, and they did very, very well on tour. Long term, this album did not have the legs that Stand Back had, and it sold okay, but it didn't have the staying power that Stand Back did, and it didn't really have songs that survived the April Wine set lists. I've seen April Wine 5 times, and I know around here in the Maritimes that's nothing, but I've never seen any of the songs from this album done live. Now I know they have been. I've just in modern day playlists, I don't think they come around all that much. I don't think it's quite as heavy as Stand Back. There's certainly nothing on here as heavy as say a song like Victim for Your Love from Stand Back or Ooh What a Night. And I don't think the production's as good. It doesn't have the thick production. It's okay, but it just doesn't have the just doesn't have the same gut punch that that Stand Back did. I will say a little bit about We Can Be More Than We Are. It's kind of an odd song. It's kind of a psychedelic. I don't know if you'd call it psychedelic or not, but there's some different kind of vocal phrasings in it. And I'm just guessing it was a song that had been kicking around for a while. And the reason I say that is because it was co-written by Miles Goodwin and Jim Henman. So this dates back, to the first couple of April Wine albums. As always, Miles Goodwin can be, counted on to come through with a couple of good ballads. Wings of Love is a very dynamic song on here. It's got an instrument called I don't know how to say this, Ons Martineau, which I think is kind of like a theremin. And apparently they had to bust into a university in Montreal or a college to borrow this instrument to play it on this song. Probably the best known song on here, though, is an amazing ballad, great ballad from Miles Goodwin called Like a Lover, Like a Song. And another note about this, I think I'm right about this. This single has a B-side on it that's not on any of April Wine's albums, a song called Goody Two Shoes, not to be confused with Adam Ant. But this title, Goody Two Shoes, figures into a later discussion. But if anyone's familiar with that song, that's kind of part of the Whole World's Going Crazy experience. So they crisscrossed Canada again, but where they were starting to make inroads in the States with Stand Back being on Big Tree Records, distributed by Atlantic. This didn't have quite the impact. They ended up on London Records, which, if anybody knows anything about London, in a couple of years' time from now, they'd go belly up as far as popular music goes, and the same fate befell Y&T, and the same fate befell ZZ Top. Well, ZZ Top did all right. They jumped ship to Warner Brothers, and April Wine did all right too. They jumped to Capitol, but London Records was kind of a dying label as far as rock and pop were concerned. But a decent album. I just don't think it's as good as the one before or the one after. Well, the ones that came after. I think their best stuff was definitely yet to come. And so, giving this a critical eye as a big fan of this band, I'm going to give The Whole World's Going Crazy a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10's not bad, Tim. It's not bad. John Clauser, let's throw it over to you. What's your thoughts on?
All right. So I did a quick Wikipedia thingy on Mr. Hagopian, and his name is Jovenis, in quotations, Johnny Hagopian.
Johnny.
So, Tyler, if you're watching, Tyler. If you're watching, is this like a great uncle of yours, or or whatever, but let us know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
please let us know in the comments, Tyler.
yeah,
if
let
it's
us know in the
This
comments.
it's not like
but
Smith or Brown. This is not a
No.
common surname.
no, not in the least bit. So, yeah, my thoughts on this album. I thought this was a fun album to listen to. It was something that I don't know, it just kind of reminded me of like 70s party rock. You know, that's the feeling. That's kind of the feeling I got. I liked Give Me Love. I thought that was a good track. I liked So Bad. Wings of Love, like Tim was saying, a very good, very strong ballad. We Can Be More Than We Are. It was kind of weird with that telephone interplay thingy in the background. That was kind of strange, but still kind of a cool groove.
Oh yeah.
Rock and Roll Woman and Shot Down. I thought those were good songs. I like a Lover, Like a Song. I would love to hear the version that if you get the very first pressing. I think Dave, you mentioned this in a message to us. If you look at the first pressing of this album, it's about a minute and a half longer. And I'm like, why did they edit? And that's something you can't find digitally.
Yeah, they cut out the guitar solo,
Okay, that's
or
what
they edited it down.
right.
My record says 629.
Ooh, okay.
The
Yeah,
CD is 4 something.
yeah, the CD and this version that I have is
Actually,
459 on this one.
Yeah, it says it's supposed to be 512, but I'd have to look. I thought it
Yeah,
was
I don't
like
remember
4
how
something.
I don't remember how long my CD version here is on this one. But anyway, let me see what else. I like Kick Willie Road. I thought that was a good moving song. And I like the title track. The title track gets a little crazy with the either kids or adults on chipmunk speed singing. But yeah, again, is this extremely memorable? Well, maybe not. But like Tim, I would say I'd say at least a 7 out of 10 for me. I just found it to be a fun album to listen to on the way home from work. It just reminded me of good 70s party rock, and I think they were starting to inch closer to what we would start to really love and appreciate about this band. So that's what I got.
So, John, you said you gave it a 7. I'm sorry. I'm keeping track. We'll do an average at the end. All right. Excellent. Dave Lubin. Nice to see you.
Okay.
How you doing? Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go here, Grant.
All right.
Thanks. All right. So actually, I talking about some of the facts of this record. You actually covered, and Tim covered a lot of the facts of the record. I'll add a couple little things here. Yes, Tim, that you are correct. That Mad Hatter was in the background of all their shows. They would have that, and in fact, that Mad Hatter has a name. His name is Henley. And I actually heard today, I actually messaged someone, and I was told that Henley apparently is somewhere in a warehouse somewhere in Toronto, but that's about all we know about him. Yeah, echoing what Tim said, these songs are kind of lost. The only one that you'll hear on Canadian classic rock radio is Like a Lover, Like a Song, and it's not like, you'll occasionally hear it. It's not, it's not played in the same manner as, let's say, You Could Have Been a Lady or Say Hello, which are or A Sign of the Gypsy Queen. I mean, these things you hear all the time. This one, occasionally you'll hear it on, on a Chum FM or something like that. The title track, however, The Whole World's Going Crazy, I have heard that on Sirius Deep Tracks. So they have found that one.
Wow.
Nice.
The title track actually reached number 5. So it was actually, that one was the highest ranking album as far as what's considered the Canadian charts. Give Me Love had reached number 33, and like a Lover, Like a Song reached number 49 only. And we talked about how the album had a different release in the USA. I will say something interesting about one of the songs in this album. Actually, one of the first US cities to kind of adopt April Wine and really play it on their rock radio was KSHE-FM in St. Louis. And the song they really love is not one that I've heard a lot in Canadian classic rock radio. I don't ever remember hearing on Chum FM in Montreal, but I think it's a really good rocker, Shot Down. And apparently it was one of those songs that was just that St. Louis just adopted it, and this rock radio station, they found that song, and they just got requested for it. It's the song that tends to get the song that tends to be talked about in terms of being adopted by a radio station is Roller in a station in Flint, but apparently Shot Down got adopted by KCFM in St. Louis, and it's still played quite a bit today. So as far as the record itself, I agree with you guys. When I look at the overall, it's not as good as Stand Back. The production's not as good. But I will tell you this, 2 songs on this album are in what I call my April Wine Hall of Fame list. 3 of the songs are very good. And the rest of the album, quite frankly, it's just kind of okay. I'm not as enthusiastic as I was about practically every song on Stand Back and Electric Jewels. So I'm going to talk about Wings of Love. Personally, I think this is Miles' most creative song. I actually call it his good vibrations moment. It's just, I like the way the tone of the song changes. He uses this episodic structure. And it's just really interesting how it kind of starts as this ballad. And by the end of the song, it's a rocker with some great guitar work by Gary Moffat. I think the true April Wine fans really appreciate it. I don't think the song has ever got its due. And like I said, it's in my top 4 songs ever. The other one that's in my top 4 songs ever, we've talked about it already. It's a fantastic power ballad, Like a Lover, Like a Song. And if somebody says, you've got to pick your favorite April Wine song, I picked this one. We talked about how the song has different versions. So yes, I also have this album with the 6-minute and 29-second version. It not only has some extra guitar work on it, it also has an extra verse or 2 as well. You can find it on YouTube, but that's about it. So I'm actually quite grateful that I have this album and it's still in it's still in good condition and it sounds okay. So there's another version of this song, and it's on the Greatest Hits album that was released in Canada in 1979, and it's actually a shortened version. The other thing is that this album is also on 2 live albums. So there was a live album released in 2003, and then there was a live album, One More for the Road. So what April Wine did was back in, I think it was 1982, if I'm mistaken. No, I think it was 1983, actually. They said, we're going to do one more tour across Canada. What was interesting about that particular tour was I had mentioned in the last show that we did, I said I used to get disappointed because I never used to see songs from Stand Back or The Whole World's Going Crazy or any of those albums. For this tour, they brought back some of those songs. And unfortunately, I skipped the concert. Shame on me. And then I had a friend basically tell me, hey, guess what? You missed it. The keyboard came up and he played this song, and there is a video that they made of it. And I kind of have a theory of this, is that that maybe Capitol Records kind of went through the catalog and they found the song and said, hey, this is a great song. And they thought, maybe we can get some legs out of this because it's a fantastic song. And they thought, hey, maybe we can make a video and, who knows, maybe we can have sort of a second life. Just a theory. I don't know anything about that. All right, just quickly, other songs I really like on the album, Gimme Love, another fantastic opener. We talked about Shot Down. I think that's a great song as well. And the other one I really like on this album is Rock and Roll Woman. The rest of them, I'm just kind of on. There's nothing. It's nothing on it that I don't think is that great. That's bad. I just don't think they're that great. So because of those 2 grand slams, I have to give the album an 8 out of 10 because those are 2 of the songs that I'll just listen to over and over and over and over again. And I do really like Shot Down and those other 2 songs I mentioned. So for me, really good album, 2 of my favorites, but it doesn't have the consistency of an Electric Jewels or Stand Back.
I'll be darned. 8 out of 10. That's not bad. I'll take that. All right, Nick, what's your thoughts on this record?
Well, I had to cut you guys, turn the video off, and I heard Tim's explanation. I almost fell over running down the steps. Is that I didn't know that I was listening to on the crappy Spotify, the Canadian version. I own the US version on London, which I haven't heard yet because I picked it up years ago for $2. The vinyl looks like someone was using it as a cutting board, unfortunately, but I do have it. And as we should know in the US, you'll never see this album anywhere here. This just doesn't exist. I think I mentioned on a prior episode, I found this and the Live at El Macambo and Stand Back at a yard sale at my old house for like nothing at a neighbor's house. I couldn't figure out how they even had that album. But so I've been listening to Conversion. That's sort of how I absorbed it. But I think I like this album better than most I've heard on the panel. I think it's a continuation of Stand Back. I think it's a very strong album. I think this band is at cruising altitude. They're building on the momentum of Electric Jewels, Stand Back, and now this one. And of course, I'll say, what could go wrong? What would happen next? They're at cruising altitude, and Captain Sully Sullenberger's flying the plane. So what's going to go wrong? But I think it's a great album, and going through the tracks, "Give Me Love," great opener, Foghat style driving. I finally heard it not on just the crappy phone, but I got the iPod deals, and I could not believe. And I also listened to it in my car. I couldn't believe the sound that Steve Lang was getting on his bass in that song. So if you have the ability to listen to some good speakers, good system, guys chase that bass tone forever. And not to bore everybody, but that is just an incredible sound. I'd love to know what he was playing. I'd love to know what he's playing through. But it's just an incredible driving bass sound, not distorted, presence, and everything that I'd want in a bass. And I don't want to guess what it is. I don't think it's precision or a jazz, but I just absolutely love the sound of his bass.
He used to play a precision all the time, so I don't know.
It doesn't.
That's what I'm picturing when I
precision,
picture
no,
him
Grant,
playing.
listen to it. It's just real driving without.
Oh,
being
I know. I
distorted.
was going to make the same comment. You just.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I just going on to track 2. Speaking of, so bad to me. I'm following the Canadian version. That's like a song where it's like, look who we have playing drums. It's Jerry Mercer, and he kicks friggin' ass, and he's better than your drummer. I love that song. The drums make it. He does these rolls on the toms, even the floor. It's got groove. And he's doing all this wacky stuff on there without being overplaying on the song. And I just absolutely love that as a feature or a highlight of what that guy can do. And I know Tim's mentioned that, he just loves that guy's sound, and that is just a great drumming track. Besides it being just another one, you put that on in the car, and I'm going over the limit. So I just love that. I think that Wings of Love, I like it. I don't like it as much as Dave, but I do like the song. And I want to know, besides the female vocals, which are really cool, what is that thing in the background? It's like almost a theremin sound. I don't know. Is that
that's
a guitar?
that Ondas Martineau, played by Marie Bernard.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm saying it right. I just know it's similar to a theremin.
Yeah.
I love it.
It does sound like a theremin.
Yeah,
pretty
it
much,
did,
but I don't
right.
know.
It seems like there's more control than a theremin. Theremins are just wacky, but
Yeah.
it's a really good song. I like it. On my or the Canadian version, that We Can Be More Than We Are, not into it. It reminded me of a background from a Starsky and Hutch TV show or Rockford Files. Didn't do much for me. I know they like to try something different, something novel, pushing novelty. This one for me fell a little flat. It's one, like, if it was on a CD, I'm gonna push right through it. But that for me, on my version, the 9 tracks, that sort of didn't hit the mark for me. But Rock and Roll Women, love that driving acoustic guitar. Every album they have something where, I guess it's Miles playing, man. He just really can rip it on an acoustic guitar, and that helps make it. The song gets heavy. It's got those changing dynamics. Really good big guitars. Love that song. Shot Down for me is probably now as we sit here, maybe my favorite April Wine song. I think that song is perfect. It's perfection. It's heavy. It's got a little bit of glammy stuff. It takes the best elements of Kiss and Stars and Aerosmith. I love the lyrics. I cannot say enough about that song. It'd probably be a top 5 for me song on April Wine. I think it's a hit. I just think that song is just wonderful. I love the chorus. With the drag on the guitar neck. They need some pick slides in there if they play it live, but that is just a great song. It's a great rocker. It's like everything I want a band to sound like is in that song. So that for me, that's why that song for me elevates this album to other, as good as Stand Back. Like a Lover, Like a Song, you guys said it. It's great. Piano's great in that song. Kick Willie Road, to me, Tim, correct me, but it seems like the love affair with Elton John continues. I love it. Piano everywhere.
Yeah,
It's
I hear
structured
that. It's like an early Elton John.
That's what I thought too.
Structured just like Elton John. There's nothing wrong. It's great. It's a great song. I love it. It's an odd title. I was trying to figure out the lyrics. Kick Willie Road. I don't know. Was he kicking somebody? Or anyway, it's a great song. It's a fun
It's a road
song.
in Nova Scotia or something.
I was going to say that we got some in the Maritimes. We got some funny place names, street road names here.
Oh, we could probably outdo you. I live near a town called Bird in Hand and Blue Ball. So, John knows.
We got a burnt church here in New Brunswick.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. So I think that's a great song. I don't know why I had the most notes though on the final track, the title track on that Canadian version, but the whole world's going crazy. I know they're pushing the limits of novelty. When I first heard it, I said, what the Kenny Loggins? Did I hear this on a soundtrack? This has to be on Caddyshack. It has to be on like Meatballs or Stripes. I know I've heard this song. This song is just, it's got to be in a comedy movie. I didn't mind the Sheb Woolley Purple People Eater vocal. I loved it. And then I'm listening to it going, it's a shuffle. I like it. We know some people don't like shuffles. And I'm like, it sounds like Jim Croce. It's like Bad Bad Leroy Brown. I did a little Google search and all of a sudden, I guess that song has certain lyrics that were also in Bad Bad Leroy Brown. So there's some connection there to the song. So Jim Croce, the pride of Villanova University. But I just love that song. I think it was a great ender. It's a feel good song. It's a happy song. If you're feeling depressed, you listen to that song, you feel good, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I know it's kind of a jokey thing, but I can't believe that song was on a soundtrack. I just it's a great song. So I give the album even though I think I like it better, my rating was an 8, only because I've rated other albums maybe even a little higher, but I like this album. I like it. I think I like it as much as Stand Back, and that's actually surprised me. Again, I listened to the Canadian version. I'm looking at the American version with the different track listing. I may have a different review if it was the American version, but I think it's a great addition to the canon, and there's nothing wrong with catchy songs.
Nope, I like it. All right, so an 8, I'll take that. My whole take on this record is that, well, for one, I hadn't heard some of these records. So a lot of this is, like I've said before, is like an exploration. And what I found about this record is I always was under the impression that it was lesser than Stand Back. I'm kind of echoing Nick Squire here. I think the record's better than Stand Up. The production doesn't bother me. I think we're getting more rock and guitar. We're getting closer to that classic lineup. And I think the addition of Steve Lang, amazing, because that bass sound that Nick was talking about, incredible. And Steve, along with Jerry Mercer, what a rhythm section, because Steve's a hell of a bass player, and we already know Jerry's a hell of a drummer. But I think both of them shine on this album totally. But like I said, there's more guitar, there's more duo guitar, so there's a lot more guitar interplay on this record. And I think the guitars actually sound wonderful on this. I love the guitar tones that they get. Give Me Love, I think, is probably the closest thing that we're going to get to that, by the time we get to, First Glance and Harder, Faster. It's getting there. Not quite there, but it's a great song. And then, So Bad. Jerry Mercer on that thing is absolutely, it's perfect. He is just absolutely wonderful. I mean, this might, to me, maybe I don't know. I'm kind of listening to this with fresh ears, and this might be the heaviest April Wine track to me. And I think Miles sounds great. I love the song So Bad. Wings of Love, to me, you know what this song reminds me of? I know when I listen to it, it's almost like April Wine's version of Sweet Madam Blue.
Yeah, I hear that.
It's heavy, acoustic mellow. It starts and builds into that heavy rocker. It's almost anthemic. It's probably my favorite song on the record. I mean, it's 4 minutes and 51 seconds of pure bliss as far as I'm concerned. And the thing with We Can Be More Than We Are, I just wonder if that was just something that they used to jam on, because that is more funk than anything. The dual leads are great. And the thing is this track filler or is it more experimental? But to me, I don't know. It kind of breaks the album in two to some degree. I mean, it's pretty much just an instrumental with phone effects, but the guitars are awesome. And Jerry Mercer on this track is another track where he just hits it out of the park. Rock and Roll Woman is not the Buffalo Springfield song, but it does have a great heavy middle 8 dual leads again. See, we're getting in when we get Brian in there, man, we really take off on that, but we're getting there. And I love dual leads and triple leads and all that. I don't know. The whole rest of the whole record. The other thing I really wanted to say is I do love Like a Lover, Like a Song. The more you listen to it, the better it gets. It's one of Miles' best ballads. What can you say? It's beautiful, but I do want to check out that 6 minute and 29-second release because I have not heard that. So I'll put that down. I will listen to that. Say that really fast. Kick Willie Road really is like an Elton John song. To me, I find this kind of generic, but I also want to say that Steve Lang on here absolutely sounds killer. I mean, I'm so glad Steve's in the band, to be quite honest. And then this whole world's going crazy. The thing that I hear is Sweet or Queen, maybe more Sweet than Queen, but I think it's a great track. It's kind of traditional, I have no issues with it. I think it's a great track. But out of all these records so far that we've looked at, I think I might like this one the best. I mean, again, Harder, Faster is my favorite, and Nature of the Beast. I think that was the peak to me. But out of this middle period so far, I love this record, and I would give it I don't know if I can give it an 8, but I can give it an 8. I think I can give it an 8. So let's see what we get. So if we got 3 8s and a 7, we got a 7.6. So I'll take that.
I never thought of this before, Grant, but you talk about like the twin leads on here. Do you think that they started to think this is cool, but we lose that bottom end when we start playing dual leads? If only we had a third guitar player.
I don't know the story why they got Brian Greenway in. Maybe
I
don't know.
There's only one way to get heavier, because but
and
yeah,
Brian was the missing link as far as I'm concerned.
But Steve Lang, I mean, technically Steve Lang was a better bass player than Jim Clench. What Jim had going for him is he had the vocals. I like Jim Clench's voice. Sadly, both of those guys are since passed on. Both those April Wine bass players. But yeah, Steve Lang did some really cool bass parts throughout his career with April Wine and he never gets talked about.
No, he's great. Great. But he really shines on here. I think in the later albums, he's a little bit more subdued. The other thing I want to say is, even though we don't have Jim Clench anymore, I think Miles Goodwin steps up to the plate, and I think this is his best vocal performance so far on this record. I don't know. I like it. I really like this record. I don't know. I've been listening to it for a week. I don't know. I'll give it an 8.
Steve Lang. I was going to say on Steve Lang, you can find him singing "Ooh What a Night" on the Live in the El Macambo album.
That's right. He didn't have any on none of the studio albums. They didn't give him a lead vocal. But yeah, I mean, he was competent. I mean, their background vocal, he had to be able to at least sing background vocals because they always had that going for them, a strong part of their sound.
All right, cool. All right. I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. I want to thank John Clauser, Nick Esquire, Tim Derling, and Dave Lubin. What we are going to look at next. See, originally we've already done the classic lineup albums. So we've already covered First Glance, Harder, Faster, Nature of the Beast, Power Play, Animal Grace, and Walking Through Fire. Those all can be had in a playlist, and they're before. But what's next? We're going to jump all those. So we're going to be looking at Attitude and Frigate. So that's going to be good, and that'll be next time. So like I said, I want to thank everybody for coming on. Please like, subscribe, you know how to do all that, and look forward to more content. So good night, everybody, and gentlemen, nice to have you.
Thanks.
Thank you.